Hello everyone, Sejr here. I am here with my second card from Sejr's card kit for September 2020. A little bit slower than normal. Actually, I should say by now this is the normal speed of myself, but um, really simple, really cute card. Want to share with you. So let's get started. I had realized that I didn't actually record the making of the 4-strip pattern paper or the sentiment. I thought I had made a recording of this, but I think I deleted it. So what I had done actually was I cut the pattern or the solid paper that came in the card kit into the four colors, and then I just glued it onto a piece of cardstock, and then I used the die cut to cut that out. And then the remaining strip I'm going to use as the background right there. That's the piece I'm going to use as the background. So it used to be much longer, but a portion of it was used to cut the sentiment. I'm going to take the sentiment also from the stamp collection called I Miss You, Just Wanted You to Know. I thought this was a very beautiful sentiment, and it looks amazing as a focal point on the bottom of the card. I am going to heat emboss this. I'm using clear embossing with black ink. You could have used, or you can use, any embossing powders you like. You can use any colors. It doesn't matter because as long as you can pick one of the colors that match your strips, then it's going to look really well. Black is kind of the universal one where you can get away with it with any color just because black just looks sharp. Um, and I just love using that clear embossing powder right now. I've been using it for everything. I was thinking about lifting that sentiment. That's why I got the foam tape out. But I'm not sentiment, the background. But as I was looking at it, I realized that even though I just said black is fine, I wanted to try something. I wanted to see if I could bring in some more black. I at first was thinking maybe I'll add some heat embossing just around the edges. However, because of the sentiment and how many nooks and crannies there are, I didn't think it'd be very easy to outline it all. So what I decided to do was grab some black soot ink and just go around the edge of that. The problem with this, and it's not a huge problem, it's just kind of not what I was looking for, is when you use the brush like this, it kind of creates like that stroke effect on the outside, which looks really neat, especially if you're using vintage photo or you're using a color that matches what the background is or what you're using. Because I'm using black and there's no black other than the sentiment, it's kind of stood out a little more than I was wanting. Really what I wanted was just a solid black line around the bubble. I didn't want too much to be too noticeable. So I'm just looking at it and I'm like, okay, it's okay, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So what I'm going to do next is grab a Sharpie. And the reason I use a Sharpie is just because that's the only black ink that I always have on hand. So I will use that just to go around the edge. What I'm doing now is just, as I'm talking, is I'm just constantly looking to see what looks good for me. This is why it takes me a while to make cards, is because I'm constantly fiddle farting around, looking to see if what I've just done looks okay, and just get my brain thinking about what I want to do next. So I kind of was talking ahead of what the video was. So here's my Sharpie. I'm going to go between the thick and the thin, and I'm just going to outline it, being very careful. And for some reason this morning my hand was really shaky, so I was having a difficult time, so I did cut most of this out of the video just because it was taking a little too long. And you don't really need to see me outline it, the whole thing. Just get the idea of what I was doing. And really, you can use any marker, anything with a liquidy base to it. And the reason I say liquidy like not like a gel pen or anything. It's just because then this kind of gets absorbed into it, and it's just much quicker to do it. There were a couple. Now the problem with this was, I realized when I had die cut it, or at some point, the layer of the paper actually kind of split. So when the ink got into it, well, it absorbed into the paper instead of just being on the outside. So if you looked at the very top of the sentiment, there's 2 points where it's a little bit darker. It doesn't matter. No one's really going to notice it or care about it. So we're just going to keep moving forward. This, like with any card, it's all for fun. I'm going to use some double-sided tape that I got from Scrapping for Less, and just make sure that this goes down straight. I'm going to use my background mat as a guide to lay that down. When it goes to the sentiment, I don't know if you've noticed, what I've done is I decided to flip it around. So as I was looking at it, it would be kind of cool if you had the sentiment match the background, but I always would do that. So for this card, I decided to flip it around so that the yellow's on the bottom, the purple's on the top, but the sentiment, the yellow's on the top and the purple's on the bottom. It isn't perfectly aligned. If I were to make this again, I would double check that to make sure that everything is perfectly aligned. But I like the effect. I like how the colors are swapped. It actually just makes the sentiment stand out a little more. It's interesting how that happened. When you have the colors exact, the sentiment actually kind of gets hidden a little more because your eye is just going right across it. And you only have that white that's kind of making it stand out. But when you flip it upside down, your eye really sees it. But it's also not too much to take away from the sentiment on the bottom, which is also very important. I'm really happy with how this card turned out. So just propping this up with a bunch of foam tape. I think this is better than having it flat on the card. You could have lifted both layers. I think that would look really sharp. But definitely lifting it. I don't think it would look as nice if you had it all flat to the card, because it's just too much white and there's not much to break it apart. You need the shadowing effect. I am going to go over with a shimmer pen just to add a little bit of sparkle to the lettering. It's very fine. You're not going to see it too much unless you move the card around. So it's going to add just a little bit of cuteness, a little bit of shine, kind of like how the I Miss You is going to shine too, because I used the heat embossing clear, or the clear embossing pattern. To finish off, I am going to use some embellishments that I got from Studio Katia. Awesome company. I love them. I love their embellishments so much. They're just really fun to play with. Just really beautiful. Get some. You won't be sorry. Like, they're amazing. And I'm just going to glue those down. Just sporadically putting them around. I decided just to keep them around the sentiment. They look good just being around that sending smile sentiment area. So that's it for this card. Like I said, I decided to keep this card very simple. Just showing you what you can use with just the pattern paper and a simple bold sentiment on the bottom. I just love how you can have two sentiments both working together and not competing with each other. So that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope this increased some inspiration. And until the next time, have yourself a wonderful day and take care. Bye.